It's time for the Boston Bruins to make a move. Fans are not having it anymore with Don Sweeney, with Cam Neely, with anybody on this team. We see Joe Sacco take over this team, have a good start, but having nothing to work with, all thanks to Don Sweeney and Cam Neely. The time is now. Fans are pissed, and we've had enough. I'm going to be looking at the game here in tonight after the Edmonton Oilers game. You know, I'm a bit flustered, so I do apologize. I'm sure just about every single one of you guys are, but we're going to be talking about the game a bit, but then going into what needs to happen, what needs to change. And as you've probably seen from the thumbnail, from the intro video, from my reaction right now, we saw some very, very good things tonight from Bruins fans in the stands, talking about one firing that needs to be made. Now, before we get into it, be sure to hit the sub button. I'm not going to ask you too much. I just want to say, keep it here, stay here, sub to the channel so you guys figure out when Don Sweeney is fired. I will be keeping you guys up to date with the entire career path of Don Sweeney for the future of the Bruins franchise, at least until he is fired without a doubt. But let's get into this game. Let's get into the topic because, as I mentioned, fans have had enough. We've had enough. We've seen enough from this Boston Bruins team with having no moves made or making the right moves and then completely disregarding them a few games later. We've seen that with Fabian Lysell. They have not won since they brought him back down to the AHL, and that's just a bit of karma, I guess we can say, from the Bruins organization on themselves. But first of all, want to pull up the box score. A great game from Jeremy Swayman here tonight. He had zero help in front of him, and, he could only do so much. He kept this game below 10-0, and I think that was a big moral support for the team. But apart from that, really didn't see much from anybody here tonight. Nobody really seemed to have anything going. Another shutout from the Bruins side of things. Pastrnak, we were hoping to see his goal streak continue. Seemed to get a few shots on. They seem to be putting the puck on net a bit more, but they're just not making the right plays. The power play sucks. Chris Kelly could also be one of those folks to be fired at some point, and hopefully soon. His power play has not been feasible whatsoever, but apart from that, we just see a horrible game, pretty much all around, apart from Jeremy Swayman. I don't want to stick on this too long, because this is just a horrible sight to look at and has no positivity to bring to it. And that's what I'm trying to bring. It's difficult, especially when the Bruins team is like this, but, we got to bring some positivity somewhere, and we hope that we see some more of those young guys. Fabian Lysell, Georgi Merkulov, John Farinacci. I can keep on going if the Bruins would want me to call up to this team to help something out. They seem like the players that want it right now. They're the players that want to make an impact on this team. They're ready to go. They know they're just like us, watching these games, seeing the results from people not working. We see Oliver Wahlstrom. It's time for him to step out of this lineup once again. I was excited to see him in a Bruins uniform. That has not worked out. Trent Frederic tried to get a fight going to spark something. That didn't do anything. It's time to trade him. Charlie Coyle, Brandon Carlo, whoever you need to trade at this point, you have to make something done now. You have to do something now before it's too late. And I am afraid to say it is getting too late for the Boston Bruins. And if they don't make a move, this could be one of the worst seasons in quite some time. And currently, I believe the stat that they said on the broadcast tonight was this is the worst plus-minus the Bruins have had since 09-010. I could be wrong. Be sure to fact-check me in the comments because I don't want to get this wrong, but I feel like it's not very easy to get a worse plus-minus than what the Bruins have this season. Currently, I believe, after this game, at the point of recording this, minus 24 on the season. But I do want to kind of, as I mentioned, go into the positivity, kind of look at what we could see. And I think the positivity is bringing up some of these young guys that we've mentioned. Georgi Merkulov. Matt Poitras needs to get back up into this lineup. Fabian Lysell. Those three, I do believe, need to get into this lineup as soon as possible. We saw this third line tonight. Although being, one of the better lines, we see Justin Brazeau. He's been hot lately, and I do like his game. I think that he's probably one of the only positives on the forward side of things here tonight. But looking at this lineup right now, this lineup needs to change by next game. I don't think there are many other options. I don't think you can have Oliver Wahlstrom go again. Trent Frederic needs to be traded at this point. I don't think there's any benefit of bringing him back in free agency, re-signing him as a free agent, bring him back. We know he's going to want a bit of money, and whatever that money is, it's going to be way too much than he's worth. Having Matt Poitras, Fabian Lysell, Georgi Merkulov, John Farinacci, I would even say bring up the entire AHL team. They may have a better result than this team, and I'm not saying this is on Joe Sacco either, and I do believe that he is a very good coach. As I mentioned, just kind of handed the scraps of what this team was made from Don Sweeney, from Cam Neely, and realistically, we saw what Jim Montgomery did with it, and there was not much he could do either. Whether or not he wanted to stay with the team, that's out of the question, but he didn't really have much to work with at all, and we saw the Tyler Johnson experiment not work either. But, it's getting to a point now where it's a mockery of Bruins fans. Having this continue to go game in, game out, same lineup, no changes from last lineup, apart from, maybe a line change here or there, whatnot, has been very consistent for the past few weeks. Since before the holiday break, they're just rubbing it into the Bruins fans' faces. We're watching these games. People are paying to go to these games, watch the games live. A Fire Sweeney chant breaking out in the stadium. That goes to show how dedicated these fans are. Paying money to go see a team that they know are not very good, to get the point out, to fire the GM. As you see, I'm wearing, you can't see it here now, but a Bruins hat, a Bruins sweater. I'm watching this game and just can't believe what I'm seeing. Seeing the same lineup in and game out has gotten to a point now where it makes me not want to watch the games. And I will, that's just the way that I've been watching this team for years. I will continue to watch this team game in, game out, regardless of if they are good, regardless of if they are bad. But it's getting to a point now where it is difficult to go in and be excited to watch this game. And that will be the same thought process until we see a change in management, a change in roster, something to make this team more exciting and have them more of a drive to win this game. I do apologize for that little rant, but as I mentioned, Ty Anderson put this out really all at the same time, the same as everybody else. An audible Fire Sweeney chant at TD Gardens, and I'm not going to lie to you, I was close to yelling it out here in my house watching this game as well. I know that nobody would hear me, maybe the neighbors, but someone has to know. Someone has to get the point out. We need to get the point across, and I hope Don Sweeney was in the building. I don't know if he was. I don't know if Cam Neely was in the building, but I hope those two heard this loud and clear and figure something out for this team before next game. They know they're in the hot seat, and if they wanted to at least save their job, because they're not making a very good effort to get another job after this Bruins team, they need to do something as soon as possible. And this is another one from Ty Anderson I wanted to pull up. The Bruins boot off the ice after a 4-0 loss to the Oilers. The Bruins with just one since returning from the break, and it was against Daniil Tarasov. And as you see, 10 games played, 3 wins, a 4.23 goals against, an 8.57 save percentage. It's just as well if I was in net for the Blue Jackets and the Bruins won. It don't mean anything. The win is a win, but it's not a win that really has emphasized that this team is bouncing back from anything. And I'm going to emphasize this once again in this video here right now, not on Joe Sacco. He's doing what he can. You see the drive in him. You see him wanting to have this team after the games, before the games. Everything he has said about this Bruins team makes me at least feel that he wants to win. And he's not getting, as I mentioned, any help from the management of this team, the way this team is structured. If we did see him be able to have some control over this team, I think we can certainly bet that Fabian Lysell, Matt Poitras, those two for sure, with likely many other players, be up at the NHL already, but we just see them waste away in the AHL, and I understand having them want to probably stay in the AHL for a full season, but right now, you're going to get more experience in the NHL, you're going to get the better result in the NHL, and of course, you don't want to have them in a losing atmosphere or whatnot, but you won't have that bad of a losing atmosphere if they're up. They're the guys that want it. They're the guys that have the drive. They're the ones that will change this lineup, at least in some aspect. Maybe not to make them a full winning team. That won't happen until we see Don Sweeney and Cam Neely out the door. But at least for the short period of time that they have left of the season, the entire second half, they can at least bounce back. It's not impossible. As I mentioned in previous videos, and I hate to say it, we saw this with the Blues in 2019 or 17, I believe. I cannot remember. I'm a bit too flustered. I do apologize once again, but being last at the All-Star break and coming to win the Stanley Cup. I don't want to mention that, but it just goes to show it's not impossible. So let me know what you think about this game. Once again, I'm pretty used to saying this now in the comments, or put it in the comments. Sound off on this Bruins team below. Sound off on Don Sweeney. Sound off on Cam Neely. If just picture if you could talk to them right now, what you would say in the comments below. Say to them. Say that in the comments. But that's all I got. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. And remember, I will be keeping you up to date with the entire job search of Don Sweeney here on the channel, so be sure to hit the sub button if you want to find out when he is not going to be the Bruins GM. I'll have that update before it happens, if possible, but as soon as it happens, if it is mid-season, which you never know. It don't seem like it will be, but we hope as a franchise, as a Bruins fan, it is. We hope it's as soon as possible. As I mentioned, that's all I got. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.